Throughout history, there have been mysterious structures that seem impossible to explain. From this weird underwater rock structure in Japan that looks like an abandoned city, to a series of massive coffin-shaped boxes in Egypt, these odd formations continue to puzzle experts. What were they for, and who built them? Let's start with this mysterious building that scared even scientists. Number 7. Sakai Haman, or Sacsayhuaman. Located on the outskirts of Cusco, Sacsayhuaman was once part of the Inca capital, but not much of the original complex is left. Today, most of the complex is in ruins, but the walls that still stand are enough to make anyone stop and stare. This is the largest polygonal wall in the Americas. The Inca walls are built with massive boulders. Each one is oddly shaped, yet they fit together perfectly, like pieces of a giant jigsaw puzzle. The stones are so tightly packed that not even a needle could slip between them, and the fit, even to this day, is so fine that only moss. Some of the walls stretch up to 6 meters tall, and the longest one is 400 meters. It's hard to believe how the Incas managed to get these giant boulders to fit so snugly without mortar. When the Spanish came to Cusco, they were so amazed by the walls that they assumed only demons could have built them. In their excitement to take them down, they tried to destroy the walls, but most of the boulders were just too heavy for them to move. So how exactly did the Incas do it? Historians and scientists are still clueless. The way they shaped and moved these enormous stones remains a mystery. What is even more impressive is that they managed to construct these walls without the help of modern tools or machinery. It's something that makes you wonder if the Incas weren't ahead of their time. And just like Sacsayhuaman holds its secrets tight, there are plenty more clues about the Inca world hidden all over Peru. Number 6. The black boxes of the Serapeum Sakara. We've all heard stories about hidden treasures, but how about something that seems a little out of this world? Near the pyramids of Giza, archaeologists stumbled upon something so strange. They are unlike anything you would expect from ancient Egypt. 24 coffin-shaped black boxes were discovered in a hillside cave at Sakara, right next to the Pyramid of Djoser. They are not your regular boxes, though. These aren't made from wood or any easy-to-work material. No, these are solid Aswan granite. Each box weighs over 100 tons, and even more mind-blowing is the way the boxes were made. They are airtight, so it's clear they served some important purpose. But what? And why were there exactly 24 of them? What really gets the experts talking is how these boxes were crafted. The lids alone weigh around 30 tons each, and the cutting is so precise that it looks like the work of a machine. In fact, it's so flawless that some experts believe these might not have been made by Egyptians at all. Instead, they wonder if these were left behind by an alien race, and the Egyptians just found them and claimed them as their own. The boxes have a few hieroglyphics on them, but they are so poorly done that they are considered more like scribbles than anything meaningful. So no one really knows who made them or why. But one thing's for sure, it adds to the many unanswered questions about ancient Egypt. Number 5. The 11 rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. If you think churches are just regular buildings, think again. In Lalibela, Ethiopia, you will find a mystery that will leave you in awe. Lalibela is home to 11 ancient churches, each carved out of a single giant rock. Located on a plateau in Ethiopia at 8,000 feet, these churches are like nothing else on Earth. Forget about bricks, mortar, or wood. The builders worked only with stone to carve these monolithic structures. What's even more amazing is that these churches are not just built on top of the earth, but go 40 to 50 feet below the surface. There is no shortage of theories about how these churches came to be. The most widely accepted story is that in the 12th century, King Lalibela ordered the construction of these places of worship. The local museum at the site even promotes this idea, but all it has for evidence is an old farming tool that looks more suited to tilling soil than cutting stone. It doesn't seem to match the scale of such an amazing feat. We're here at the most famous church here in Lalibela, St. George's Church, but the people who still come here to worship believe the story doesn't end there. They say that King Lalibela didn't do it alone. Some claim he had help, an army of angels no less, who came down to lend a hand and finished all 11 churches in just one night. It's a tale as bold as the carvings themselves, but when you stand there, with the cool stone beneath your feet and the echoes of prayer around you, it's hard not to feel that maybe, just maybe, there is a hint of truth to it. The churches are still alive with activity today. People gather there daily for worship, prayer, and to celebrate religious festivals. The site has become a place where people come together, strengthening the spiritual bond and connection that has been there for centuries. Number 4. Longyu Caves. Imagine draining a pond only to stumble upon a treasure that had been buried for thousands of years. That is exactly what happened in the small village of Xianbei-kun in China's Zhejiang province. For ages, locals told stories about mysterious caves beneath the town's waters. Nobody took it seriously, though, until one man decided to prove whether the tales were more than just myths. He rallied the villagers together, and they bought a huge hydraulic pump. After 17 days of non-stop pumping, the pond finally gave up its secrets. And what they found was jaw-dropping. At the bottom lay a network of hand-carved caves, hidden away for millennia. Today, archaeologists have uncovered more than 30 similar caverns throughout the area. These aren't your typical caves either, and a really interesting fact is when they drained this first cave, there wasn't a single fish that was found. They are carved out of solid siltstone and reach as deep as 30 meters underground. Despite all our fancy equipment and modern research techniques, we still have no idea how ancient builders managed such a feat. Even with the best tools of that time, experts say it would have taken 1,000 workers digging around the clock for years to finish the job. And then there is the mystery of the missing rubble. You would expect to find piles of stone nearby, right? After all, 1,000,000 cubic meters of rock doesn't just vanish, yet there isn't a single sign of the excavated stone anywhere. It's like the earth swallowed it whole. The caves themselves are nothing short of impressive. Even after standing for over 2,000 years, their walls, pillars, and ceilings remain strong and undamaged. It's like time forgot about this place. The real puzzle, though, is figuring out why they were made in the first place. Some experts suggest they could have been used as storage for grain or natural resources. Others think they might have served as royal ritual sites, shelters from invaders, or even ancient observatories for studying the stars. No one really knows for sure, and each new theory only adds to the mystery. Draining a pond to uncover ancient history is one thing, but trying to solve the secrets behind it all is a whole other story. Funny how the past can seem so close, yet its secrets remain just out of reach. Number 3. GOC Circle. There is an ancient secret hidden in the fields of Germany, and it's older than the pyramids. Known as the GOC Circle, this mysterious site dates back to 4,900 BC and was used for a couple of centuries. At first glance, it looks like a massive ditch about 75 meters across, but there's much more to it than a simple ring in the ground. The structure has 2 wooden palisade rings with carefully placed entrances. These openings line up perfectly with where the sun rises and sets during the winter solstice, and smaller gaps mark the same positions for the summer solstice. Because of this, some archaeologists think it might be the oldest solar observatory. The idea is that ancient people used it to track the sun's movements, but not everyone is convinced. Just mapping out the solstice points doesn't make it a full-blown observatory, some experts say. There is nothing else in the circle that clearly says, hey, I'm a giant sundial. But if it wasn't for stargazing, then what exactly was it for? Well, this is where things get a bit darker. The local group that looks after the GOC Circle suggests it was used for human sacrifice. It's not just a wild guess either. Archaeologists have found bones there, human bones, with cut marks on them. There is also evidence of ritual fires, which could mean some spooky ceremonies took place here. The fact that a structure from so long ago shows such precise knowledge of the sky has really puzzled scientists. How could people who lived before written history have figured out something so advanced? It's a question that doesn't have a clear answer, but one thing's for sure. This ancient circle is far from just a pile of dirt. Well, just like the builders of the mysterious circle, another civilization was reaching for the stars in a different part of the world. Number 2. The Moai. There is a tiny island in the Pacific that is home to giant stone heads, which have puzzled historians for centuries. How did they move these? Because you're talking about, tons and tons. Yeah, you don't have the modern equipment. It is known as Easter Island or Rapa Nui, and it is here that the Moai stand like silent giants watching over the land. The Moai are impressive figures carved from single blocks of stone with oversized heads making up about 3/8 of their height. These statues are like the ancient ancestors of the island frozen in time. Almost 1,000 Moai were crafted and moved around the island, while a similar number still rest at Raraku, the quarry that supplied most of these impressive structures. One of the most remarkable Moai, named Paro, stands at 10 meters tall, which is about the height of a 3-story building. It weighs around 82 tons, which is heavy enough to make anyone's back hurt just thinking about it. But the heaviest recorded Moai is even more jaw-dropping, tipping the scales at 86 tons. And then there is an unfinished statue, which, if completed, would have reached a height of 21 meters. That's over 69 feet tall, and would have weighed between 145 to 165 tons. When European settlers first arrived, they found the Rapa Nui people in a tough situation, sick and struggling to survive. It's hard to wrap wrap your head around how these folks, who were struggling just to survive, managed to build such gigantic statues. It's no wonder people have all sorts of theories about how the Moai were created. Some think the Rapa Nui must have had help, whether from neighboring cultures or, as some like to imagine, visitors from beyond the stars. While those ideas might sound far-fetched, you can't help but wonder how they pulled it off. Something else that will make you question what is possible is number 1, Yonaguni Monument. Some places are so odd that even experts can't agree on whether they were built by humans or formed by nature. One such spot is the Yonaguni Monument, sitting quietly beneath the waters off the coast of Yonaguni, a small island in Japan. This underwater formation looks like a lost city, with columns, platforms, and even a massive pyramid, all stuck to the seabed. A lot of people argue that this monument is just a weird, natural formation. They think the stones were cracked and shaped by earthquakes, and the water currents did the rest, creating what we now see as strange carvings. The pieces of rock, they say, were once part of a solid formation, but after shaking and moving around over time, they ended up looking like something made by human hands. They point to the parallel fractures and natural joints that seem to connect everything together, but not everyone is buying into that theory. One expert insists that humans must have been involved in creating the monument. According to him, the shapes of the structures are just too precise to have happened by accident. Some platforms even have perfectly round and triangular holes, which he believes couldn't have formed naturally. Plus, the sharp angles of the slabs don't look like the rounded edges you would expect from something that had been worn down by the sea. It's as if someone carefully carved these stones to fit together just right. The mystery of who or what made this monument still remains unsolved. Was it a civilization long forgotten? Or did nature simply have a hand in creating something that looks too much like a masterpiece? The debate continues, but the Yonaguni Monument remains one of the most puzzling underwater sites in the world. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.